You just gonna edit it after done?
No, man, there's no editing. We don't edit here. It's not what we do.
Oh,
Ah,
I forgot all about that.
yeah, clearly you're the you didn't show up to the onesie party. So but let me just say that we're in some strange times, my friend.
Ain't that the truth?
And you may be the first person to actually see me go through the beginning stages of my mental break.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
I couldn't tell.
I don't know if there's many of you folks who are working from home and happen to have the luxury of being with your psychotic 17-year-old mother who's 57. Oh, and your wonderful 3-year-old twins. But let me tell you, it will wear on a man. It will wear on a man.
Never want to go back to work so bad in your life, did you?
No, actually not at all. And so yeah. So we're gonna have a good episode, good show. Been looking forward to this one. We've had a little bit of a break. We're going through a bit of a transition in the world with this coronavirus. So we're in a different
I do
studios.
like the adaptation of good old Zoom here.
Yeah, it's nice. It's
Nice
giving you
little,
the
nice little
ability to
from
continue,
home edition, if you will.
if you will. It's not quite the location in the home that I would prefer, the old garage, but it's the only one that allows me to do what we're doing here. So,
Well, welcome. It's Miller time.
you gotta love the junk business. So speaking of during this special time, I would like to thank the small businesses in Statesville that are still open and serving stuff, especially to Red Buffalo. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to go by and support local, do so. And I'm going to enjoy a tasty beverage during this episode from Joe Bondi and Red Buffalo. So thank you. It has been a long day. It's been a long 2 weeks, really. So cheers to everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cheers to everybody. It has been a long 2 weeks. It's been nuts. It's actually been longer than that for me. It's, watching the whole industry entertainment side of it just collapse underneath me was it's been pretty crazy, you know being out on the road, and then all of a sudden, we're doing shows, and then literally as soon as we finish a shows start canceling, like midnight right after the show's done,
So is
start
that
pulling
how that
shows.
happened for you guys? Is that what happened? You guys were doing shows, and then the next thing you know, it's like, hey guys, we're done.
Yeah, absolutely. We were in Portland, Oregon, actually, doing Tool shows, and literally we did our show in Portland, and there was a threat of it. We kind of had a threat, of the governor of Oregon coming out and saying that they weren't going to do any events that had more people than 250 capacity. They're getting ready to shut everything down, and so we did the show. After the show, go into the production office, and we're kind of sitting there. There was a threat of it, and then come about 12:30 at night. We're still loading out everything from the show, and we got 17 trucks worth of gear, and they're loading everything out, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, tomorrow's show's canceled. We were supposed to go to Eugene, Oregon. Tomorrow's show's canceled. Oh, really? Why? The governor just said we can't do events that have more than 250 people in them. Oh, okay. All right. So after Eugene, we were going to have a day off in Boise, Idaho, and they hadn't canceled the Boise, Idaho show yet. So we went to Boise literally that night, shifted gears. Instead of us even going to Eugene, we packed everything up and left and went to Boise, Idaho. And we had 2 days off there. Well, the first day off, we didn't know anything. Second day off that morning, we were actually supposed to go in and load in some stuff. And that morning, they ended up pulling the Boise, Idaho show. And they had already pulled the Salt Lake City show, which is our next show following that. And that's where we were supposed to be done and flying home from. So they pulled the show. That was a Friday morning. We were supposed to do Boise and Salt Lake, fly home after that. And they pulled us, but we ended up flying home 2 days early on Sunday. We still had to go in and rearrange all the trucks, all that fun stuff with gear going back. But yeah, and then we were somewhat one of the last ones to kind of cancel stuff. There was already tours starting to cancel. There was already people going home, you know, things like that. And that was, I mean, it's been over 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks now since that all happened. And it's all been at a complete standstill since then.
And there's no update for you guys, I'm sure, like everyone else, of when the forecast of when you guys are going to be back on the road.
No, I mean, until they state when, events can happen that have more than 250 people, or at this point, CDC saying 50 people,
Right.
um, then, we're sitting ducks at this point. So, and that's it. I mean, there's so many people that,
Sorry.
I mean, every company in the entertainment industry, you're right there.
Sorry, this onesie
Um,
was giving me a moose knuckle.
had adjusted cup there. I see. Um, but yeah, there's all the businesses in the entertainment industry are, I mean, it's zero revenue right now. And especially all the road guys that are freelance that don't work for companies, and even people that work for companies. I mean, everybody's been at, at zero revenue. Nobody's getting paid. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's making 1 cent. And it's actually costing people money even to be shut down right now. So,
And even during 9/11, because you were around for 9/11, you were on the road, and you were on the road when we had the recession back in '08. Was it
mhm.
this bad then?
No, we haven't seen anything quite like this. And, even the owner of the company I work for, his name's Tom. He sent out a message the other day. It was quite funny. It said, I haven't been grounded like this in 50 years. And even then, it was my parents that did that. So, and he's owned the company for 40. So, we haven't, as a company, hasn't shut down. That company hasn't shut down in 40 years. I mean, the 9/11 was huge and that shut everything down, at least for a week. Some people went 2 weeks for the entertainment side, but that was, there was a light at the end of the tunnel then.
Right.
And right now we don't have any, and, our hands are tied. Everybody's hands are tied that's in the industry. And we're literally just sitting here, you know?
And that brings up a good point, because at that time, during 9/11, you guys getting back on the road and entertaining and having something for people to go to, bringing people together, it was actually a bright spot. Now we're handcuffed. We can't do that, because instead of bringing people together, happy, hugging, high-fiving, now we have to socially distance ourselves from one another, so that camaraderie is different.
100%. And, as you just nailed it with the camaraderie side of it. I mean, most large tours, arena tours are traveling with, 40 to 80 people on the crew, depending on how large the tour is. And, you share buses, you share locker rooms, you share hotels, all you see these people every day. And the camaraderie, now everybody's sitting at home and everybody's kind of twiddling their thumbs. There's, I wonder what we can do. And I've noticed that similar to what we're doing right now, there's a lot of people that are getting on and just having big, huge group conference calls
Yeah.
with Zoom and other different conference calls or whatever, just to be able to talk to other people and say hey and stuff like that. Because the social side of it's gone right now, and there's you know, no end in sight at this point.
It's my wife's birthday, and last night her and her friends had a party chat. I don't know what app they're using, but it was 5 of them on their phones, able to see and talk to one another.
Yeah,
And we did
my wife's doing the same thing. She's been doing it with her friends as well.
did a Zoom call tonight with my in-laws and my sister and brother-in-law and their kids, so we could sing happy birthday to Kristen and blow the candles out.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where we just have to do the best with what we can do right now and try to make the best of it. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to celebrate and we'll blow it out when we can and have some.
Absolutely. And that's, I know it's hard times for everybody, and, you know, a lot of people are worse off than myself or you at this point, but, I can just only hope that we're taking this time and reviewing it, looking at it instead of looking at the negativity and trying to focus and get caught up in it. Look at the positive side of it. When we get out, you're gonna have a different outlook, and hopefully, it's a positive outlook and how you can better the situation and the people around you. You know,
For sure. Hopefully, people will take this to maybe be a bit more, I don't want to say conservative, but maybe look at things a little different, less wasteful, and realize that some of the material things really aren't that important, which we can all get caught up in. It's not just,
right?
you know,
I mean, it's easy to do,
selfish.
especially right now when there's a lot of it floating around. You go on social media anywhere, and it's somebody's bitching or complaining about this, that, or the other. And I get it. There's a lot of people that have a right to, but on the other hand, it's like there's nothing we can do at this moment that's going to help any of it.
Right.
The quicker we all get away from each other, hopefully the quicker we can all get back to each other. You know.
For sure. So one thing I did, the whole purpose of this podcast tonight was actually to highlight something different than the real shitty situation that we're going through as a country and as a planet. But was you and I started, I did the carnivore diet for the month of February, and
Hmm.
you reached out to me and started asking like, hey, what's this about? You looked into it, and then you too started your own carnivore journey, so to speak. And I wanted you to come on tonight to speak about what the diet has done for you, what you think about it, and what you think the future holds for you in regards to the diet. So, um, you know, just how has it worked for you?
When did you start? You started like February 1st, right?
February 1st, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember seeing the podcast. That's right. Because the podcast with I always forget her name. I
Kelly,
apologize. Kelly. Yeah, yeah.
Kelly Hogan.
Um, anyways, yeah, listen to that podcast, and that definitely drew my interest. But I ended up starting it the very first of or the beginning of February 3rd,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, went through all the stuff that everybody talks about. That first week, for lack of better terms, hangover, if you will. Um, the gnawing headache and all that fun stuff. But once I got past that, that only lasted 2 or 3 days, something like that. And then once I got past that, it was just a matter of staying focused on what it was, and figuring out how it could work for me. And for me, simplicity is better, keeping everything just as simple and stupid as possible. Um, but lo and behold, I'm still on it as we speak. To be honest with you, I've had a piece of fruit here. I've had some couple bananas. I've had some oranges along the way, but 98% of it has been strictly carnivore. And as we sit here, I'm right at 30 pounds, and feel amazing.
See, that's great
Um,
that you've lost 30 pounds and you're not exercising at all, really. You're doing some
mhm.
walking maybe from time to time.
Yeah, yeah.
And but essentially just cleaning up your diet, you've lost 30 pounds. And not to mention you've lost 30 pounds while cleaning up your diet. But you did this while on the road. So which is not easy.
Yeah, that was the most difficult part for sure. The yeah, because I think I started February 3rd, and like February 10th, I think I flew to Australia, and packed me a little duffel bag full of pork rinds and some beef jerky,
Yep.
and you know, 30 some hours of travel later, finally made it to Australia. But it's a matter of wrapping your head around it, and that's what the hardest part in the beginning was, just literally. And that's why I say keep it simple for me. That's the way it worked best for me. Is you know literally it's like meat, cheese, eggs, and just basically animal products, right? And that's kind of what I stuck with.
Right.
Um, and I didn't venture into, I've got some bone broth and some things like that, but I didn't try to go too crazy with all that stuff in the beginning. I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to keep my head focused on what it was and what I was trying to do. And, in the very beginning, as long as I stuck to what I kind of laid out for myself, in the first week, it was absolutely incredible, the changes that happened. I mean, the clarity in my head, to be quite honest, And to clarify that, it was just my thinking and, waking up in the morning, I wasn't groggy anymore. Didn't feel like I needed a pot of coffee to get going. Um,
Because I've known
my
you for a
sleep.
long time, over 20
Yeah.
years, and you've never been the guy that gets up at 7 o'clock and hits the ground running.
No,
No.
I
You,
can't say I'm necessarily that, I'm that guy now, but it's definitely a lot easier,
because you had
um,
mentioned to me, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said, what day was it into the diet where you woke up and was like, wow, like you just felt more clear and more eager to, get after it in the morning.
it was about day 3 or 4.
That's crazy.
Literally, I think it was day 4 when I woke up, because I remember it being like day 3, and that's when the insides, when I say the inside, is when all the stuff inside of you started changing, and you had to sit on a toilet for a fair amount of time.
You couldn't trust
But
your
the
butt.
next morning, no, couldn't at all, and learned the hard way. So we, but anyways, yeah, I woke up that morning of that fourth morning or whatever, and it was just like, wow, holy shit. The time that I was in bed, I actually slept solid. I had very, really good sleep, and it, I was just like, all right, well, things are really, this is something that, I'm feeling something. I can feel a difference. I feel a lot better, that sort of thing, which also obviously helps you in your progress of moving forward with everything.
Yeah. So you
So,
lost 30 pounds. You felt more mentally clear. Um,
mhm.
what other positive aspects have you seen?
I mean, just, the physical side of it been a big, huge part for me. I mean, I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life when I started it, and I was looking for something. I'd been kind of looking around trying to see what's going to, what would work, and if there was a diet that kind of fit me, and who knows, whatever it may be. And most diets just get so damn complicated, and it's like, they send you books, and you got programs to follow. You got, there's websites and groups and all this stuff, and it's just like, what can you eat? What can't you eat? Well, you can eat a variation of this versus you can't. So when I started, when you brought it to my attention, um, it was like, all right, well, this seems simple enough to where, we can do it. And I started looking into it, started listening to podcasts, started reading about it, pulling up all the articles, and you had sent me a bunch of stuff on it as well once I inquired. Um, just did a lot of reading for myself. It was very interesting to me. And, I like meat anyway. So being a big meat eater, it wasn't all that difficult. It was just a matter of knowing, you know, it's knowing what you're putting into your system. And that's been a big thing of what it's taught me as well along the way.
One of the
It,
best things for me, just like you, is the more simple you keep it, the easier it is to follow.
mm-hmm,
Once
absolutely,
you start
100%.
adding in all these other little things, it becomes a bit more challenging. Also, you find it easier to cheat.
Totally. And
Right.
there's you give you 100 different roads to go down, when, some roads you can only go partially, some roads you can go this way, you can go a quarter down that road, you can, whatever. And it's like, well, just get rid of them altogether. Let's just figure out the ones that I really can go down and make it happen.
Right. Now, for you being on the road, just part of your job, and you're traveling around with rock stars. How hard was it for you to stay strictly carnivore?
Um, to be honest, it wasn't that bad. I mean, there's difficult times, because, especially on a show day, you've got catering and it's full catered, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And, you know, you're, you're, s- your hands are tied really, because you're up to what they serve. I mean, you
Right.
can only eat what they have. And yeah, there is sometimes where it's like you got a steak there, but it's covered in whatever kind of sauce, or, something like that. You do your best to get rid of the sauce, or, whatever it may be. And if it's sauce you can eat, great. If not, then you try to figure out ways around it. The chicken may have something in it or on it or whatever it may be, get rid of that. You just kind of have to, you know, you have to be willing to deal with it and kind of make your own changes.
Yeah.
There's always something for you to eat that is healthy, or not, I shouldn't say healthy, but that follows the plan. it's just a matter of being open-minded and looking at it instead of going, oh, well, that stuff's got all kinds of shit on top of it. I can't eat it.
Right. You just do the best you
It's like
can.
you just do the best you can. And, going, even going out to eat and stuff like that, go to a decent restaurant somewhere, they're always putting some kind of rich sauce or something on top of it. You just got to be a little bit more conscious of what it is that you're looking at and how it is, and just be sure and ask, and just, don't be afraid to ask questions about it.
Right, for sure. I know that there's going to be some carnivores who follow the channel and who are going to watch this episode and are going to see me indulging in a non-carnivore friendly beverage. But I have my own story about that here that I'll touch on at the very end before we wrap this thing up. But now, as far so you've been doing it now for almost 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 weeks. Yeah.
And so you never really experienced the flu-like symptoms or anything like that, did you?
No,
No,
I didn't. The worst thing that happened to me was just that nagging little headache that came
yeah,
about with it for a little bit.
I had that too.
Um, you know, there's a few things that you notice along the way. If you do have to, I found myself needing to drink a lot more water. You
Hmm.
know, easier to get dehydrated for whatever reason that is. I'm not real sure on, but I do find myself drinking a ton of water every day. And if I don't, find yourself in a little bit of a pinch sometimes. But it's easy to get away from it. It's easy to do that. The things that I've been drinking every day are like hot tea. Like
Hmm.
English breakfast tea in the morning. I don't even drink coffee anymore.
Really, no coffee at all?
I haven't had a single
Man.
drop of coffee. The English breakfast tea, and then I have a gallon of unsweet tea around the house,
Yep.
um, and water. The occasional like zero Red Bull. In
Mhm.
Australia, the Red Bulls actually were zero, which was zero carbs and zero sugars and everything else, which played right along with it. But
Mhm.
in the States, when I got back, I was looking at the zero Red Bulls and I was like, huh, there's actually a few carbs in this. The
Really?
formula's different. Yeah.
I'll be
I don't
damned.
know why, but yeah, the formulas are different. So it's, you know, again, it's taught me to pay attention to, I look at things that I used to really enjoy and, hey, what's in that? Oh man, there's all kinds of shit in that thing. I can't have that. So
So while you were on the road before you guys were pulled off, did people on the crew or in the band take notice of your um, change in dietary habits and even in your physical appearance?
yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people that, would ask about it, talk about it. But the other, a lot of people's asked me that question too. And it's like, to be honest, most road crews, most people that are on the road, super non-judgmental. And if you say, hey, this is what I'm doing, they're like, all right, cool. On it, it's basically it, unless they really are, want to know about it or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And there's a few people that want to know more about it, and other people, it's all right, cool. You know, I mean, that was basically it. And then, some people, every now and again, you see some people and they'd be like, oh man, you're looking, like you lost weight or whatever it may be. So there is notice, there is that. I had dinner with some of the band members and stuff like that, and they would, again, never was any, like nothing, ever thought twice about it. Just what I'm doing, and that's what it is.
Right. Good, man.
So
I mean, and when one of those guys happen to go on Joe Rogan next time, they can maybe mention you and how you got them started on the carnivore diet.
yeah, right.
um, so are you going to, is your goal to continue on with the carnivore diet for the foreseeable future?
Yeah. As of right now, I am. Went and had some blood work done. What was it, a week last Thursday, I guess it was. Just to double check, make sure we're gonna have a heart attack or anything crazy like that. I've had a history of bad cholesterol. So, and to be honest, everything else was pretty well good except for that. And the doctor looked at it, and his response was, "Wow, that's pretty damn terrible." But it wasn't alarming enough uh, to say, hey, we need to put you on medication. We need to try this or the other, you know. And of
Right.
course, when I was in there, I explained to him what I was doing and that sort of thing. And, you know, it actually intrigued him. You know, he was like, I need to look at this. And he was like, well, let's, you know, maybe we'll start this and we'll look at this, see where you're at. If it's not too bad, then we'll go 3 months down the road and, you know, we'll start a little study to see how it actually plays out as long as it doesn't cross any, you know, any foreseeable stupid lines along the way.
Right. That's good that you had a doctor
So
who's open-minded enough and didn't shut it down and was non-judgmental and was, willing to let you kick the can down the road a little bit and see how it does. But the one thing you can't deny is you've lost 30 pounds, and I
right.
think you told me that when he saw that, he was like, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. Like, you know, he walked in, they look at your chart, you know, and he was like, holy shit, a month and a half ago you weighed 286 pounds. And I was like, yeah,
Yes, I
I
did.
did. And you know, and at that point I was like 25 or 27 pounds down. But yeah, and that was the biggest shock. And he was just like, really, like, what in the hell are you doing? You know, what is dropping all these pounds so quick? And so that's where we went on, you know, the whole talk about it and all that sort of stuff. And he was pretty intrigued about it. He didn't really know anything about it, which was, you know, his response to me was I was very pleased because he wasn't like, oh, you know, you should be eating all this. You should be eating fruits, veggies, and all this other
Yeah.
shit. You know, it was like, all right, cool. Well, yeah, I need to learn more about it. Let's kind of monitor it. You're a good subject to, you know, take on. We'll monitor it and see what happens. So,
I think it'd be interesting to see what where you are in 3 months and what your lab work looks like and what how you weigh and everything like that. And if you're around, hopefully you're not around. Hopefully you're back on tour. But that's also a time usually when tour takes a break in about 3 months, right?
yeah.
So you would be home anyway.
Yeah. From
Okay.
July 1st on, I'll be home. And I don't,
Do you
to
know
be
Kelly?
honest with you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to be honest, I don't, you know, if this continues the way it's going, we're not going to be doing anything before then anyway.
Right.
So
Well, hopefully it's not. But if you are home,
I,
I'll
fingers
get you in
crossed.
touch
I
with.
promise you that.
Oh, the whole 330 million Americans got their fingers crossed. But I'll get you in touch with Kelly. I think she would be interested to have you on her show and talk just from a different point of view. You're still a new carnivore, and technically 5 months down the road, lab work in hand, and plus the positive outcomes from losing weight, mental clarity, energy, and stuff like that. So that I think she would be very interested in chatting with you. A real quick update on myself is I have had to come off of the carnivore diet for two reasons. As I shared on her show, that my cholesterol was elevated, and which was fine, kind of. I was all right. I was all right with that part, which we figured it would be. But then I suffered a little separate, non-related heart issue that sent me to the emergency department. That I'm going to have in the future here. Well, maybe not soon because of our healthcare system and what's going on, but I have to have an ablation to take care of an extra electrical pathway. So given the fact
Sounds
that
very familiar.
that's right, you've suffered from the same thing. So given the fact that I had that episode, had to go to the hospital, they had to give me drugs to correct my 220 heart rate, which I've given that drug a lot in my career, never received it. And I'm great, never, ever having that again. So when I went to the
It's
heart
no
doctor,
fun.
it's no fun. So when I went to the heart doctor and we were sitting there chatting and then we were finished and then I brought up my cholesterol and he literally looked at me and said, that's impossible. And I said, no. And in his words, those were panic levels. And again, he said, given the fact of what you're doing in the stress test you just put your heart through, you need to come off of that diet immediately for now and start on cholesterol medicine. Now, I know there's probably going to be some people that listen to this and are going to say whatever, and that's fine. I was one of those guys too. However, when you have an underlying risk factor, which I do have naturally, just genetically high cholesterol, and I'm not poo-pooing on the diet because I thought the diet was working great for me. However, once you factor in that, and then you have to go to the emergency department, and then a cardiologist looks at you and goes, now may not be the time for that. Let's hit the pause button. Guess what you do? You hit the pause button. So that's what I've done. Now, have I totally fallen off the carnivore wagon? No. Have I cut back on the red meat? Yes. I'm a chip monster. Have I eaten chips since? No. Have I eaten any candy? No. Am I drinking sodas or diet sodas? No. But what have I reintroduced back to my body? I am eating spinach. I am eating kale. I am eating beans. I'm eating things that are cholesterol healthy to help bring my cholesterol down naturally. Have I had a pizza? I have. But interesting, as I've introduced things back to my body, they've had an interesting response. Some of the pizza that I ate, actually, I woke up the next morning, I had some joint pain. So does that mean I have like a gluten allergy or something to eat? I don't know. But I try not to eat the pizza. What else did I eat that was really strange? Oh, I had some Greek yogurt, and man, the Greek yogurt was so sweet, but it wasn't a ton of sugar in there. But I think I've just reset my taste buds. So it wasn't appealing. Like it wasn't like, ooh, that's really good. I have had a couple beers. The first beer I had wasn't delicious at all, to be honest. It was terrible. Today I'm having a beer. It's been a stressful day. But and it's okay. I'm trying to think. There was something else that I ate that I found. Oh, I tried creamer in my coffee again for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. Like,
that's right. You tried hazelnut or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
I went back to my favorite hazelnut, and it was awful. So I'm still using heavy whipping cream. So I guess I'm leading all that to say is, maybe at this point in my life, the carnivore diet is not for me. Maybe total carnivore will never be for me just because of my underlying cholesterol and heart factors,
Well, we still don't know. I mean, let's be honest here. You don't know that that's going to exactly help it, though, at this point.
Well, I think with me eating less red meat, eating more chicken and fish and turkey and stuff like that, I think it's going to bring it down. Yes. But I also think that taking the cholesterol medication is going to bring that down. One thing I have been
So you're on
doing,
medication, you're doing like apple cider vinegar, you're eating less red meat.
Yep. I'm
and you've
trying
introduced some vegetables at this point.
And I've introduced some vegetables. So I have not converted myself back to the typical Western or American diet.
Right.
I am still looking at labels, trying to limit sugars and carbs, trying to be smart about it. But I'm just eating more vegetables. I am eating fruit. Berries are supposed to be good for your cholesterol. So I'm eating strawberries and blueberries and blackberries and raspberries. And those sort of things. The other thing I'm doing is I'm getting up every morning at 4:30 and I'm walking for half an hour to 45 minutes. And I've done that for the last 2 weeks every day, except for on Sunday. I did not do it on Sunday. So anything I can try to do to try to just stay healthy, that's what I'm doing. So by no means am I poo-pooing on the carnivore diet, and no means am I trying to completely turn my back on it or anything like that. But I've learned a lot from the diet, especially about what is good to put in my body and what is not good to put in my body, and to look at those labels. And I cannot believe I've not had a potato chip.
What was your favorite?
What was my favorite? What? Potato chip?
Potato chip. Yeah.
All of them.
All of them.
Well, salt and vinegar.
Just fucking throw it right in your face. Go ahead.
I will eat an entire bag of salt and vinegar.
I love those things.
God, I will own it. You know what else? Fritos, like the chili cheese Fritos.
Oh. In a bowl of chili, even better.
I don't know if I've ever had a bowl of chili.
Oh my God, Brandon, what's the matter with you?
I don't know, dude, it gives me gas. Oh, I will say too that introducing these things back into my system, gas is back, but not nearly as bad as it was. I do fart again. But if before the diet I was a 10, on the diet I was a 1 just because I'm a human. I'm probably at a 3 And I think it has to do with the sugars, honestly, in my body that would make me
Yeah.
bloated and gassy. I did drop 17 total pounds before I technically went off the diet. I haven't weighed myself in the last week. No, that's not true. I weighed myself last week and I'd gained a pound. So I'm probably still around 15, 14 pounds down, and I have no real desire to gain the weight back. So for all the people out there who are going to land blast because of whatever, I get it. It's whatever. But guess what? When shit hits the fan and you're in the emergency department and they got the pad stuck to you, you might change your mind too about some shit. But,
Yeah.
and it may not be for everyone, and it may be something that I revisit later on in life. We'll see. However, I think there are benefits to the diet. And there's probably benefits to people who are just totally vegetarians. I'm not arguing for or against, but there could be something that's healthy that works for them.
It's what works for you. I mean, that's plain and simple, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, the way that I'm eating is because that's the way I want to eat. It's simple and it's easy for me.
Right.
You know, if you can control, you know, a keto diet and know where it's at and how to, you know,
Sure.
manage eating vegetables and meats and fruits and everything else that goes with it, then fine, go ahead. You know, that's fine. You want to eat all vegetables? Eat all vegetables. I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me. I'm just looking at what, you know, along those lines, it's like what makes me feel better right now that this is doing the job. And like you said, it's, you know, the whole journey, hell, it hasn't been 2 months, but the journey so far has taught me so much in regards to what actually we as a Western society put in our system on a
Yep.
daily basis. And it's pretty fucked up when you start looking at it.
It is.
You know?
It's very jacked
And,
up what we put in our systems.
you know, just having, I mean, I honestly I've had like one sugar cookie that my son made the other night
Mm-hmm.
just to test it out, but that was it. And that's about the only sugar I've had.
Oh,
And
that's right. Sorry. I did have a piece of cake tonight for my wife's birthday. Me and the kids and my mom made her a birthday cake, and I did have a
oh,
slice.
nice. Awesome.
You know,
While on Zoom with the rest of the family.
do what?
While on Zoom with the rest of the family.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's going to be one name that every household knows from now on out is Zoom.
God, I don't know.
You know that?
Are they a publicly traded company?
They sure are. Their stock's at $17 right now. You need to go look at it.
What was it 2 weeks ago? I bet it wasn't 17.
I don't know about 2 weeks ago, but 3 days ago when I bought it, it was 19.
Ah, there you go. It'll come back. Everything will come back. That's what they say.
Anyways, but yeah, just the journey, you know, the different foods, the different things that we used to cook with, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's crazy. You start looking at everything, and when you eliminate that and you eliminate how that feeling of, like you're talking about, the bloat, you know, the sluggishness and stuff like that I used to have all the time. And, you know, it's crazy. It really is. And to feel like I do right now, just eating what I've been eating, it's pretty damn good.
It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'm not going to keep you long. I've been jacking around with this thing, Zoom, and we're trying to get things squared away for future episodes when the coronavirus clears up. You know, I think we've got a couple some exciting things that are going to happen with the Appetite podcast. So everyone bear with us. Stay tuned. Hopefully the garage will work out for the time being or wherever. You guys should have seen it last night when we did a test run when I was on my back patio, and it looked like, well, you couldn't even see my face.
No, it looked like it was in the gates of hell. I mean, you know, just sitting down there, you might as well have had flames behind you at that point, you know?
Exactly.
Face is all red. You're just all dark, leaned over like this, trying to make it happen.
No, Beau, you haven't died and gone to hell, and I'll never greet you.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're not working on that. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. Hopefully I will see everyone again soon. And again, I also want to thank our sponsor, States of Vegas Clothing Company. I'd also like to thank.
I think I got one of their sweatshirts on. Yeah.
Do you? Stand up. Show them. Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I've seen that one before. That must be a limited edition 0001.
Limited owners edition, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe something.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to Hunk of Junk Calling. One call
Mm-hmm.
removes it all. And thank you to Casey Tate at Farm Bureau Insurance and Integrity Securities. And we will see everyone again soon. Stay safe and practice social distancing. Wash your hands. Cough from your elbow.
That's right.
That's right. Everybody be good. See you, man.
See you, brother.